on KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. Every week we feature amazing entrepreneurs, business professionals, inspirational people so that you can live out your dream. We have candid conversations, we have mentorship advice, and we have inspirational kind of news and stories. And this is going to be, like every episode, a really good episode to learn from. Whether you want to enter politics, or I should say be more civically involved, or whether you are wanting to understand why getting involved is something that you should do, this is for all of you. And if you are running for office, hey, you should hear this as well, because we have Lisa Song Sutton. She's actually running for Congress for the amazing state of Nevada, and I just found out they only have 3 million residents, which is mind-boggling to me. And we have Meghan McNulty, who is a lawyer, and she is an entrepreneur herself, and she does a lot of work behind the scenes for various political campaigns. And I'm going to give you a few disclaimers. I know both of them. I consider them both good friends, and they're both awesome people. And we're just going to have a candid conversation on why they're doing what they're doing, both from a in-front perspective, running for office, and both from a behind-the-scenes perspective, running fundraising and just supporting. And yeah, so thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
It's good to be here.
Tell us first, Lisa, I want to start with you. What's your background? Tell us the earlier days of Lisa before you got to where you are right now.
Well, I have a law and business background, and obviously, Ash, that's how you and I met, right? Young Entrepreneurs Council.
Yeah.
Started my first company in 2012, Sin City Cupcakes in Las Vegas, and after that, just got bit by the entrepreneurial bug.
That is the greatest name ever. How did that whole name conception come about?
Well, my co-founder with that, Danielle Cole, who you've met before, she was making these alcohol cupcakes in Florida. That's where I met her. I modeled all during college and grad school. And she told me, hey, I've been making these alcohol cupcakes. And I was like, stop what you're doing, move to Vegas. This is the place where people come to overspend, overindulge, buy new things you're not going to buy and do at home. They are going to want some alcohol cupcakes.
Nice. Okay, and you also won a very prestigious award.
Yeah, so I'm a former Miss Nevada. I was the first Miss Nevada of Asian descent.
Wow.
That was in 2014, and it was just an incredible experience through that. I was able to really kick up my community engagement. I did nearly 500 community appearances, traveling across the state, volunteering in schools, reading in hospitals, and working with nonprofits.
So what did you learn from winning that? Because I know there's a rigorous schedule, not just to get the award, but to after, right?
Certainly. I mean, there's a lot of work and preparation, just like anything that's important to you, right? If you have a big goal in mind, you always are working hard towards that goal with a lot of steps and preparation in between. For the pageant in particular, my path to success with that was doubling down on my strengths.
Nice. So what would your strengths be?
So you just break it down, right? So if you look at the competition, there are 4 areas of competition: interview, swimsuit, evening gown, and onstage question. They're all weighted evenly, 25%. So if you really look at it, 50% of your score is talking.
Wow.
In a pageant, right? You're thinking, I gotta get my spray tan on and my swimsuit. Right. And you do have to do all of that, but 50% of your score is talking. And so I knew going in, right, I'm not 5'10" and blonde like Meghan McNulty, right? Oh, so I was like, I've got a different look, right? So as a result, I need to double down on my strengths, which is gonna be interview and onstage question.
Okay. That's a good background on yourself. How about you, Meghan? You are a lawyer. You've built your own practice. Tell us about your earlier days. How did you get to where you are?
Yeah, so I started out of college at USC in medical device sales, and I really wanted to go to law school. Had no money, so I had to figure out how I'm going to pay for law school. So I did sales and went to school at night to get my law degree. Wow. And I just that's basically kind of how I got started. I'm a hustler, and basically I'm excited to support and introduce the community to young people that are running for Congress or want to get involved in politics. I think it's so important.
How did you get this hustler mentality? Who taught you this?
Probably my mom and dad.
Okay.
But I've always
Your
had
dad's really cool, by the way. I met him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell him you said so. So I have always just had a lot of energy and wanted to get things done, and I'm a hard worker and very entrepreneurial, love business, and I'll basically say yes to everything. I probably say yes to too much stuff. And, I think it's really important that more people get involved civically with what's happening in the country, and in terms of opportunity and giving people opportunities to actually go out there and hustle and be able to work and make money and be successful. So that's just a little bit about me and kind of how I got started.
So it's interesting to talk about this country and, opportunities, because I find it very interesting that there's not more business professionals involved in politics. Like, nationally, yes, our current president on the Democratic side, Mayor Bloomberg and others, but locally, it's hard to find people like yourselves who are what I call the new generation. I'm not saying you're a millennial, not millennial. I'm just about the new generation. We're all below the baby boomer bracket. Do you find yourselves like rogues in a way? Like, you're like, why aren't there more people like you or you doing either representing up front or behind the scenes?
Well, I think certainly from a candidate perspective, I mean, let's face it, I've spent the last 10 years my head down doing work building my businesses, right?
Yeah.
So when would I have had time to really get engaged? Obviously, certainly now I'm a candidate, right? And as a result, because I do take this responsibility so seriously, I'm very blessed to have fantastic operational partners in all of my businesses and staff who are very supportive of this endeavor, right? So as a result, it's allowing me the time and the bandwidth to be able to dedicate to being a candidate and running for public office. It's a lot of work.
And how did you get this bug during your business career? Was it something you kind of aspired when you were in college? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so politics was never in the plan for me. I was a poli-sci major in undergrad, and I interned for Senator John McCain in college back in 2005 at the University of Arizona during my time there. And so I was exposed to it, but in kind of, a roundabout way. It was never something that I had fixated on as a potential portion that would be part of my life directly. I think, Meghan hit it on the head when you're talking about looking at where our country is and how we play into that and where we fall into that. Ultimately we can be people who sit on the sidelines and complain about the direction things are going or what's being done or what's not being done. Or at the end of the day, obviously we're all doers. We're all builders. We're all doers. So we need to get into the arena. We need to step up. Young people need to step up. Business owners need to step up. Young women, GOP women need to step up and let people know that, yes, there are women in the party, right? And there's minority women in the party, and there's business owners in the party. Name it, we're all here.
Isn't the California GOP chairwoman Latina?
Oh, yes. Jessica Milan Patterson. She is.
How come we don't know more about that? Like, where's the social media, yo? Seriously.
I don't know. There's no social media.
I don't know. Ask mainstream media about that.
Okay. If you're hearing this, mainstream media, I'm calling you out.
Why don't you ask CNN about that?
CNN, I'm calling you out. Just kidding. No, that's fascinating. I have a question. The late John McCain or Senator McCain easily is someone who everyone has loved.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What did he teach you, or what did you learn from him in those? And I understand it was a different time, and you weren't even thinking of running for office. But
sure.
What do you think you've learned from him?
He was a very special man, and during my time that I interned for him, I remember it was a very poignant memory that I had. So I split time. I was mostly in the Tucson office, and I remember there was a time where he came in, right around like 4:45 p.m. The office starts shutting down a little bit, and so by 5 o'clock, certainly on a Friday, that office is, lights are off and the door's locked, right? Yeah. You're out of there. And we had a woman come in, and she was upset that she had not gotten her Social Security, and she was upset about that, and she wanted to talk to someone, and he sat there, and I remember it was like, creeping towards 5 o'clock. Some of the staff had left, and I was like, I'll stay, and I just sat. I was just a fly on the wall. I just sat and I just listened. I sat in a chair in the corner and I just listened, and all he did was just listen. Wow. She just wanted someone to vent to, right? And someone to help her. And we sat and we listened, and we got out of there at, I think it was 20 after 5. But I just remember, like, there was no clock watching with him during that interaction. It was, this is a constituent who's here, who has a problem, and this is something that he can directly fix and address for her. And he was there to listen and take charge and do something. So dope.
I love that. That's a great story. Meghan, I'm curious from your end, and we're going to talk about Orange County specifically, because you have the luxury, whether it's for some or for others, of being involved with so much fundraising and momentum. You have all these political PACs that do local and national. how did you get this bug to get involved with all these groups? I'm curious.
I think it started when I was a little girl hearing stories about history. So
okay.
One of the problems I think we have with the public school education in California, and it could be this across the country, but specifically California, is they're not teaching history or civics anymore.
Wow,
so I think probably my spark came from hearing stories. So I got really curious and interested.
What story specifically? Like, were you inspired by when you were younger?
I think it basically, when it comes down to freedom and the ability to choose, and if you want to work hard and make something of yourself, you can. If you don't have to either. So I think those stories, I don't have one specifically right now to mention, but I think it came down to that, and then I've just always loved it. Kind of like people follow sports, so I'm not a big sports person. I like to go to sporting events, but I don't really follow sports.
Me too. How strange.
but
Hashtag date ideas. Anyways,
but I think that politics is kind of like a sport. You can follow it. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of characters, if you'd like to call them characters, and there's definitely a storyline running through everything that's going on. So I started following it at a young age, and I've always been very highly motivated to pay attention and read the news and whatnot. So
that's cool.
That's kind of how I got my spark. I feel like a lot of people are not engaged because our school system has, for whatever reason, stepped away from that. So I think a really big part of it is getting people to pay attention, letting younger business professionals or people that wouldn't normally get involved, who have successful careers, let them know that they can get involved in politics, and we need them right now. We don't necessarily need career politicians.
Okay.
Because look at where we're at right now.
Sure.
So
okay.
I think that's important to show them that you can get involved in
Very
into
true.
the game.
So one more question on the Orange County, just what I was originally asking you about, this area. How much activity are you seeing for local, when I say local, like Orange County candidates versus individuals like Lisa, who's here from Nevada, and national level like POTUS or whoever else? How much fundraising? Tell us about that whole fundraising world, because you have a very unique role. I mean, I don't know many people like you who have you have a job. I mean, you have your own practice. I mean, the other time I met up with you, you were on the phone closing a deal, but then you're going to events, whether you're fundraising or supporting these PACs. So I want to pick your brain, for those who don't know. Tell us about the landscape of how it works, raising money.
It seems like everybody comes to California to raise money, and then they go back to their state, which is great. We welcome it. We like it. So I think that's important. There's a lot of business people and very successful entrepreneurs here in California that want to support candidates across the country. So I would say, California is home to, Hollywood and storytelling and Silicon Valley. So we're a great place to come visit. We need some great candidates like Lisa to run here too.
Yeah.
But yes, we're definitely, I think people come here because people are engaged on a national level and are interested in other states and have, want to know what's going on in Arizona and Nevada and Colorado. So I think you do see a lot of activity from everybody coming to California, much so like probably a lot of people go to New York. So
are there specific issues, and then I want to talk to you, Lisa, about why you're so pro Nevada and why you're running a course, but are there certain issues, at least in Orange County, that you feel people tend to want to support money-wise? Like, is it education? Is it freedom? Is it guns? I mean, I'm pretending I don't know anything, and I don't actually. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, I think the biggest issues are education, so making sure that their kids are getting a great education, and also security, like making sure that they can live in a safe neighborhood and that their family is safe. So on my list, those are the top two. Making sure you can educate your kids and provide them a good life, and then making sure they're in a safe environment. They don't have to worry about violence or robbery, and I would say that's the biggest issues across the board.
So Lisa, one thing that I love about you is, besides being a successful business owner, because obviously the show's about promoting different ways business owners can be successful, is you represent, or you're a resident of, one of the most insanely successful business towns in the country. I mean, just go to your airport. You have flights from Dubai, from China, like direct flights. Like, I don't, like West Coast, we usually do direct to New York to go there, but here it's like direct to Vegas. Like, what are some stats about the business power of Las Vegas for non-Las Vegas residents like myself and Megan that we should all know about?
Sure. Oh, I mean, there's a reason that Nevada has a very special relationship with pretty much every other state across the country, California included. I mean, we are a haven for business owners, right? So you can be a resident of California and still have business interests in Nevada and a second home in Nevada, right? We have no state income tax. We have no corporate tax. We have a very friendly, we have a very, very friendly business environment, and we want to keep it that way. Thank you. In addition to that, I think it's very important to point out as well, you know, we are a destination. Las Vegas is a destination city, right? That's why we have direct flights everywhere, because we got the outbound ones to service the inbound ones, right? And I think what's really special about that is that as a result, we're a melting pot, right? We bring together every culture, every different industry that you could possibly think of, every convention you could possibly think of. There's a convention for everything, right? Whether it's marijuana or pizza, you know, we've got a convention for everything, and it comes through Vegas. And so as a result, actually, I tell this to young entrepreneurs all the time, or students as well. I tell them, if you can think of any product or service that would cater to a tourist market, come try it in Vegas. Where else are you going to have 42 million tourists come through in a 12-month period, and all you have to do is get your alcohol cupcakes in front of them, or whatever it is that you would like them to enjoy, right?
I love that.
That's all you have to do. And I just think that's so incredibly special, and it's something to point out that people need to remember.
Okay. What are, let's talk about, you know, the things that mean a lot to you. I mean, obviously Megan talked about freedom, education. What are some things that you think business professionals and entrepreneurs should care about when they vote for you or others and other parties or districts? What are the causes? Because some of us don't know. You're right. We're in the weeds. We're doing our thing. We're just so in it. What are some issues we should care about, you feel?
Sure. Well, you know, just going out and talking to voters in my district, and these are small business owners, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants less government in business.
Okay.
We don't want government telling us, you know, what we need to do and how much we need to pay and all these things. As responsible business owners, we have that dialogue with our staff. We should be leading by example, and we should be conscious capitalists, right?
What's that term mean? I love that name, conscious capitalists.
I mean, for me, it's bearing a responsibility to not only your product and your customer, but it's also your staff, right? Without a great staff, you don't have an operational company. It's just not a reality. And so as a result, you know, I think that conscious capitalism comes from us, you know, as business owners wanting to do right by our customers, wanting to do right by our staff, and making sure that we foster a collaborative, productive environment where everyone is going to be performing at their highest level.
Okay. I'm curious now, while you're running this current business, I want to understand, right before you decide to run, was there a certain issue while you were operating your business that you were like, you know, I can't believe this. This is it. I'm gonna go now run myself. Like, or is it a multitude of things? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was definitely a multitude of things. But one of the things that really stood out for me was just how much the community was not happy with the current rep.
Okay.
That they felt that he had gone DC on them, and that they felt like they didn't have a voice anymore. And that's not fair. That's not fair to Nevadans. That's not fair to a voting constituency. And at the end of the day, you know, I've always been very involved with community and philanthropy. That's just part of my lifestyle. And I was looking around and I'm like, someone should run. Like, someone should do something about this, right? And at the end of the day, we all have to, you know, kind of take our own advice and decide, what is it that's important to us? Like, what's your purpose, right? What's your purpose? What's your why? I ask myself that all the time throughout all these different endeavors that I've started. And that is also something I've had to ask myself through this process, right? What's your why? What's your purpose? Being mindful of that and staying true to that.
Okay. How about you? Like, what are some things that make you want to say, I'm going to either donate or I'm going to help fundraise? Because, again, you're active with all these PACs, and there must be some candidates. I don't need to know names specifically, but what are some things that they say that trigger you to say, you know what, you're right?
In terms of the candidates, well, anyone such as Lisa, who's out there promoting small business owners, people that want to hustle, that are trying to make it on their own, and, you know, our entrepreneurial, our leaders, people that care about freedom. I mean, right now we're seeing a socialist leftist agenda being, you know, marketed basically to us in the media and through, you know, not to get too political, but I mean, it's basically kind of shocking what some of these people want to do with the freedoms that we've had for a long time, and before you know it, they're going to be gone. So anyone that can articulate a clear, simple message with regards to how important the freedoms that the United States offers, I'm all about.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to go further into both Lisa and Meghan's views on, what is important for other professionals, and also I want to understand further the stereotypes and myths behind the Republican Party, because they both said some things about the Republican Party that I don't necessarily hear about on the news all the time.